Well, more grace to you. Thank you for having me. And one thing that I will say is I always say it's never the how to, but it's the who to. Relationship is the currency of heaven.
Amen.
Everything that God does in the individual's life is always about relationship. And I am who I am today and have reached some of the platforms that God allowed me to reach by relationship. And specifically, Kimberly Daniels, the one and only. Uh, I told you at the church the other day that if she's for you, she's for you. And she is genuine when she believes in you. She wants the whole world to know about you. I always said when I met um, Apostle Eckhart years ago, I think maybe I met him through, I mean, I'd heard about him, but I don't think I met him officially until Pastor Kim Daniels. But you just the humility and the lack of jealousy. I mean, they just don't have a jealous bone
Right.
in your body.
Amen.
That's one thing about Kim. She just don't have a jealous bone in her body. I mean, she, she stand before the president, and if she believe you got the word to say,
She gonna tell you.
she gonna take you to the president. Now, she might not give you the president number, but she will take you to the president. But no,
Yeah.
she is most definitely uh genuine. And I say all of that to bring me to this point that it was through prayer and intercession that lids were broken off of my life. It was through prayer. I was raised in church, but there were lids put on me or lids on me that I didn't even know how to pray through or to press through or to get past. It wasn't until I came in contact with a prophet from Ghana over in Toronto, Canada, by the name of Kofi, that he began to talk to me about praying through or pressing through and, removing those lids. Because again, I was raised in holiness and sanctification. So, of course, we prayed and, you know, come on, Jesus, and all of that stuff, which works,
Right.
by the way. But your speed is determined by what's chasing you. I
Mm.
think everybody should write that in the comments right now, that your speed is determined by what's chasing
Mm.
you. If I'm being chased by a snail, I might walk. But if I'm being chased by a lion, I'm sure I run.
That's good.
Dear lady I knew who used to always walk with a cane. Supernaturally, she got healed when this dog started chasing her. I mean, just by the power of God, she just immediately received a miracle. But your speed is determined by what's chasing you. And there were certain things that were not yet chasing me
Mm.
because I was not going to I just hadn't reached the place that God was taking me. But this man, Prophet Kofi, who I always give credence and honor to him, we rarely talk as much now, but he's still a brother. And he's another one. He's another one that just doesn't have a ounce of jealousy. And you want to surround yourself with people who are not insecure,
Right.
who believe in you, who support you, who trust you, who got your back.
Hmm.
Those are the kind of people that you want to surround yourself with.
Yeah.
People who really believe in you. And I went to Canada uh, because of Prophet Kofi Danza, but it was actually a guy who was traveling with me at the time by the name of Albert,
Mm.
who was just serving me. He was actually an armor bearer who was serving me. I met him in London, England at Bishop John Francis Church years ago.
Wow.
Before anybody knew who I was in Detroit, Michigan, preaching for a man by the name of Bishop Edgar Van at Second Ebenezer Church. I met Bishop John Francis. Bishop John Francis. I'm just showing you relationship,
Yes, sir.
currency, and how
Mhm.
everything works because that's the season we're in, and
Right.
we'll talk about that shortly. But I was in Detroit, Michigan, and again, amazing how I got to Detroit, Michigan with Bishop um, Edgar Van. I was with Bishop Edgar Van because of a preacher by the name of Pastor Welton Smith
Mm.
in Detroit, Michigan. Pastor Welton invited Bishop Van to come to my service. I gave Bishop Van a word. It came to pass. Bishop Van had this massive church in Detroit. I think it seat 3,800 people. I don't think I'd ever preached to that many people before. I don't remember. But he invited me to come and preach. Bishop John Francis came to preach for him. Bishop John Francis, we took a liking to each other. I left from Bishop John Francis. He invited me to come to London. And actually, that was the first time that I met Pastor Benny, was through Bishop John Francis. And if you look at an old video on YouTube, I think I got an afro and I'm
Mm-hmm.
prophesying on
Mm-hmm.
stage with Pastor Benny Hinn,
Mm-hmm.
but I was with Bishop John Francis. Well,
Right.
it was at that time that I met a young man named Albert. Albert ended up coming to America, told me about a prophet named Kofi in Canada. He invited me to come to Miracle Arena. And all of this by relationship. I didn't know Prophet Kofi. I didn't know about going to Canada. It's cold over there. I'm from Florida.
Right.
You know, I'm from the Sunshine
Right.
State. But because I trusted Albert, Albert said, go to Canada. I get to Canada. A man by the name of Kofi Danza picks me up from the airport. His exact words to me were, I wanted to pick you up myself and I wanted to meet you because any man who has passed through what you have passed through, the hand of God is on his life.
Mm.
And I received that. I went to his church and he came to my room and said, let's get into prayer. And, you know, I'm over there praying, come on, Jesus, thank you. Oh, my, you know, that's how I know how to pray. And it worked. Now, as I'm telling you, I don't want nobody to think it don't work because I still can travail, right? That's how I come up. But he saw me doing that and asked me what I was doing, you know. And I said, well, I'm in prayer. I'm in intercession. I don't
Right.
know what you're doing over there. But he's over there, you know, praying, pressing in. And he said, I want to teach you how to remove lids off of you.
Mm.
And I prayed, interceded the African way. I always call it those African
Right.
prayers. And I believe that sometimes their prayers may be a little more aggressive
Right.
because of what's chasing them. Your
Right.
speed is determined by what's chasing you. They're being chased by demons and witches and warlocks who come in their service, right in their face and flying, you know, shape
Oof.
shifting and all that kind of stuff. And I went to Canada, prayed those prayers, prayed for lids to be removed, that every yoke from my mother's house, from my father's house, every waster, every limiter, all that kind of stuff. I was praying those prayers. Got back from Canada, went into Bank of America. You would know this, on Dunn
Yeah.
Avenue. Come on here. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Dunn Avenue. Yeah, now this may be a little Dunn Avenue. That used to be Barnett
Oh
Bank. I'm
God.
sorry. Okay. But Dunn Avenue on Bank of
Uh-huh.
America. I see Dr. Kimberly Daniels in there. I see her in the bank. I said, I think I know you. You think you know me? She knew my name, Brian Carn, but she really knew it because she knew my father who
Mm.
played sports. We connect. I invite her to come to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and once Kim connect with you, she gonna call you every day. She won't talk. You know, she gonna call every day. I mean, she's just a genuine
She
person.
is.
You know, she knew my mother. She's just genuine, and it's all about relationship. And from that connection with her, and she saw the anointing on my life and that
Mm-hmm.
demonstration in Canada when she came. She wanted me to meet Suzanne.
Mm-hmm.
After she told me to meet Suzanne, she hooked me up with Benny. Suzanne said, I want Benny to meet you. Uh, Benny met me. I gave Pastor Benny, I'm sorry, I gave Pastor Benny a prophetic word, and he enjoyed the prophetic word. I went to Atlanta, and this is what I want to say. I went to Atlanta. I was scheduled to preach in Canada. I'm sorry, in Cleveland, Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
for another pastor by the name of Daryl Scott. And again, relationship, right? God really got me on this. So if I'm talking too much, you can tell me to hush. But I really want people to see the power of relationship. Dr. Daryl Scott, Pastor Belinda Scott in Cleveland, Ohio, great people, been nothing but good to me. I was scheduled to preach there for him, but I'm in Atlanta from a prophetic word from Dr. Daniels, who tells me, you're going to go to Atlanta. Pastor Benny Hinn is going to call you out. You're going to prophesy. Okay. Well, I went to Atlanta. Okay. And I was on the front row. And Pastor Benny ain't called me out at all. So I called Kim. You done missed it. He didn't call me out. You missed it. All right. She told me to go to, you missed it. She tells me the word of the Lord. She stood on it. And I'm scheduled to go to Cleveland the next day for Dr. Daryl Scott. She tells me, if you don't stay in Atlanta, you gonna die. Like your ministry gonna die. Those are her words to me. That's a
Oh,
strong word.
yeah.
So I called the pastor. I said, Pastor, I can't come because I got a prophetic word that if I come to your church, I'm gonna die. You know. but here's what I'm saying. The pastor of the church believes so much in what I did that he didn't fight
Mm-hmm.
me. He didn't say no. You know, he said, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I want you to do what you feel led to do. I am in Atlanta. A man by the name of Bob Anello sees me and says, you are gifted. You are
Mm-hmm.
great. You are anointed. He said, because of your gift, you'll make it to the moon. You're going to the moon. I'm telling you, you're going to the moon. He say, but with Pastor Benny, you'll get to the moon quicker.
Mm.
Based on that prophetic word that I got from Dr. Daniels, based on the way everything fell in place, I stayed an extra night, taking a chance.
Mm.
I'm on the front row, sit there the whole service. Pastor Benny does not acknowledge me. He says nothing to me. Nothing. Right before service is about to end, he calls me up on stage to prophesy. See, I waited.
Mm-hmm.
See, I waited. I trusted that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I waited. Heard God. I waited. Gave that prophetic word. That connection. I am walking in the fruit of those connections, conversations, relationships. But
Mm-hmm.
it came from someone in Jacksonville whom had been in the same city as me for years, but in the fullness of time. That's
Fullness
the
of
word
time.
of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to wait on that timing, right? In the fullness of time, someone who had been in the same city, same place, same state as me, God hooked up that relationship. I got to Pastor Benny's stage. I prophesied, gave the word of the Lord. I went home a couple of days later. Pastor Benny is another one. He loves the prophetic. Pastor Benny blowing my phone up, called every number I had to get to me, call my daddy and said, where's Brian? And you know, my daddy from the streets. He like, Pastor Benny, you can calm down. You ain't got to do all the calling my phone. You know, they don't talk to Pastor Benny like that, you know. But Pastor Benny gets me, so I got Pastor Rod Partial on the phone. I
Mm-hmm.
gave Pastor Rob Parson that prophetic word. That relationship opened doors. Now I'm preaching at his conference and I'm on TBN with Pastor, but all of it came from relationship. And we're in a season that God wants people to understand it's not the how to, but it's the who to. Relationship is the currency of heaven. It was those dangerous prayers that I was willing to pray by Africans that I was taught through Africans. And it was a relationship with a woman of God in Jacksonville, Florida, who had done much. I don't really think people know
Mm-mm.
um, the
Mm-mm.
influence, the
Right.
impact
Impact. Yes, sir.
that she has had
Absolutely.
in the kingdom. Because she just
She
chill.
just
You know,
chill.
um,
She don't
you
boast about it.
yeah, she just chill. I mean, and man, she'll put you on the phone with all kind of people,
All kind of
but it's
people.
through that, it's genuinely through relationship that those doors open in my life. And that's one thing that I want to share with everybody, that it's all about relationship. It's how you handle people. It's how you treat people. I mean, you can have a great ministry. You can be anointed. You can go, I mean, you can reach all kind of but if you don't ever get connected to the right people,
Mhm.
it can hinder you. It can stifle you. And I am who I am today, not because I'm perfect. I am the first person to tell anybody, Prophet Carn is flawed, but I love the Lord with every fiber of my being. I love Jesus. And you have to weather storms. You have to go through being misunderstood. You have to go through failures and flaws and mishaps and all of these kind of things in your life to reach the platforms that God has allowed me to reach. And for that, I am eternally grateful. So I said all that to say it's all about relationship. And I want to say to you that I am here today because of that relationship. I told you the other day that Dr. Daniels, she believes in you. She's for you. She got your back. And hey, she told me, I want you to come on there and do it. So I'm here because of that. And of course, we celebrate you and we believe in what God is doing in your life.
Mm.
But all of that has happened because of relationship.